Harry took to his bed and consoled himself with food, and so he got quite fat. Meanwhile, John got charged with minor parking offences and aggravated rape. So Harry helped him out, but it all went pear-shaped again, like it does. Our client has been treated outrageously, lawyers for Harry Johnson told reporters in Lioneltown, Jamaica, shortly after his release from jail. Mr. Johnson was published for the frailty of his wind valves and will now be seeking exemplary damages against the Attorney General and Resident Magistrate, Norma McIntosh. Earlier, the lawyers had explained the circumstances surrounding the incident, which took place late last year. Our client had only gone to the Lioneltown court horse to accompany his cousin John, who was charged with minor parking offences and aggravated rape. A fisherman by trade, known to his friends as Fatgutty, Johnson suffers from a digestive ailment and, unwisely perhaps, had gorged on pickles before setting off. He had already been thrown off a bus for excessive flatulence, but it was during the hearing that his gastric difficulties became severe, forcing him to belch very loudly and repeatedly from the public gallery. While Magistrate McIntosh was warning him not to disturb proceedings again, he was unable to prevent a real rasper from coming out, and she interpreted this last eructation as contempt of court. My client is able to belch while speaking, and in anger he then rasped an insulting epithet at the judge. She objected to being called a stinking shitty face, a stinking shitty face, a stinking shitty face, and sentenced my client to a fortnight's jail. Call that justice? When Harry got out, his mum wouldn't even let him stay in the garage. He burst into tears. So she said, OK, if he really hasn't got anywhere to go, he can stay in the shed at the bottom of the garden. He moved his stuff from the garage. The shed was smaller and colder, but at least there wasn't the traffic noise, so it was better than nothing. At least it was summer, so as long as he wrapped up at night, it wasn't too bad. It was nice and hot during the day, and Mum still let him use the bathroom twice a week. It was after one of his twice-weekly sessions in the bathroom that he was sitting in the garden, drying off and enjoying the sun. It was the hot bath that did it, he told a local reporter, as members of Eastbourne Fire Brigade struggled to free him. Hot water's always made my apricots sag, and that's where the problem started. Johnson, a resident of Old Orchard Road, Eastbourne, explained what had happened to him that morning. I'd just got out of the bath and thought I'd sun myself on the patio before I got dressed. I sat down on a chair with the Daily Express, but my balls sack was loose because of the hot water, and my tessies slipped between the slats of the seat. I didn't pay any heed at first, but when I tried to stand, the skin had tightened up again, and I couldn't get them out. Realizing I was stuck, I scuttled back into the house on the chair and phoned the fire brigade. They were here for over an hour. They tried greasing me and all sorts, but it was no good. So they hacked the chair to pieces, which is a pity, because it's one of a set I bought from Timothy White's, and you can't get them anymore. It's cold showers for me from now on. Excited by his success, Harry entered another competition. Mr. Johnson has no one to blame but himself. This accident would never have happened if he had not drunk 15 bottles of hydrogen beer in order to maximise the size of the flames he could belch during the contest. And the Beer Corporation stand accused by Harry Johnson of selling toxic substances and are being sued for causing grievous bodily harm. Our Suiso brand of beer is a big hit with customers. The carbon dioxide normally used to add fizz has been replaced by environmentally friendly hydrogen gas. It's very popular in karaoke bars because the hydrogen gas is lighter than air and gives the drinker an unnaturally high soprano-type voice, like a geisha. The gas is also flammable, and some singers hold cigarette lighters near their mouths so they can belch in between verses and shoot blue flames across the bar. It's what we in Japan call performing the Warbling Dragon. Performing the Warbling Dragon. It's a very beautiful effect in a darkened room. Our flaming karaoke contest simply combined these popular trends. Unfortunately, Mr. Johnson became drunk and disorderly during the early stages of the contest, with disastrous results. True, he catapulted balls of fire across the room that Gojira would be proud of, but this was not enough to win him first prize, because the judgment is made on the quality of the flames and that of the singing, and after 15 bottles of lager he was badly out of tune. Sadly, he took exception to the result, became abusive, and began belching blue fireballs at the judge. He set alight Mrs. Mifuni's hair and entirely removed her eyebrows, lashes, and paper earring in the process. He also scorched the clothing of 2 nearby customers, neither of whom has ever returned to my bar again. My security guards were left with no choice but to hurl themselves at Mr. Johnson's knees, knocking his legs from under him and causing him to swallow a lighted cigarette. The Tiki-Taki Bar takes no responsibility for the subsequent internal combustion and burns to Mr. Johnson's esophagus, larynx and sinuses, as the burning hydrogen gases forced their way out of his body